on St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James and Trelawney. But also in your constituency, there were some significant damage as well, Mr. Crawford. What's the scale of the damage in your constituency?
Yes, so one must acknowledge, thank you, and good night to your listeners, that all Jamaica was impacted by this storm, directly and indirectly. In fact, Mona Informatics placed a map out of major
institutes.
Right, placed a major impact, moderate impact and minor impact. Our constituency fell into the moderate impact category. However, because
of the minor,
no, it definitely wasn't minor, but because of the catastrophic impact on the 5 parishes to the west and the gravity of the damages in those areas, most attention and effort have been placed there. I can say to you that groups from my own constituency have left to the west to go and assist, because persons out there have been more affected than some of our groups. We have over 200 houses that have lost roof or had roof damage. All our farmers, and that's a farm independent.
So people in your constituency lose them roof too?
Oh yes, man, for sure, because we border on one of the major impact areas, which is Clarendon. So we, on that Clarendon side, we lost a lot of in an area called Loidas Vale. Yeah. And also people must recognize that the initial standard of the house also will impact on the outcome of the wind. So I might get less wind in area B, but the initial standard, so lower income areas will see greater damage. As for example, you will see in what happened in Haiti, when Haiti had an issue because of the quality of the houses that were there in the first place.
The Prime Minister had announced that some constituencies affected by Melissa will be getting a portion, a sum to help with their recovery efforts. I know that constituencies in like Westmoreland, Dayton, Campbell, Dr. Dayton Campbell, for example, would be at $10 million. Yes. Your constituency wouldn't be as much. How much have you gotten?
3 million.
3 million.
3 million. And if I can put that into context, a roof package of, let's say, 7 sheets of zinc, 4 sheet, 4 length of lat and 2 pounds of nail is $50,000. So if I should give out roof packages with the 3 million, the entire 3 million, we'll go to only 60 roof packages. And so, therefore, it is really a drop in the bucket, but it allows for the MP to start acting. And what we did today was to have a meeting with all our JP caretakers and our PMP councillors, and to identify together who are the persons most in need for immediate intervention, because some people have replaced them zinc and it's leaking, but it's not totally gone. So we try to now identify, especially elderly with very small children, that those are the ones we want to help.
And how soon are you looking to get this going?
Well, the money has been allocated. The Ministry of Housing has been quite effective. They held a Zoom meeting with all the MPs. They indicated that once you got a pro forma invoice, they will start the process of payment. And so therefore we are going to actively engage to make sure that by Friday those who are most affected will be there. So
we will follow up with you on that in terms of what you're doing with your constituents. Let's go first, though, to this clip from senior officials in the Ministry of Education. Rhoda Crawford, the Minister of State in the Education Ministry, and the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Kassan Troop, spoke in Westmoreland on Friday.
Hurricane, our Permanent Secretary and CEO would have held an initial meeting with all our principals, and they would have done the pre-assessment. Following that, we have 30-odd building officers who are out in the field. 2 of them are here with us now. So they have been charged to get a costing so that we are able to see. But our Permanent Secretary will be able to speak more to that component.
Just to share with the team that at this point in time, we know of 616 of our schools that have indicated that they have damages. And it's not just those parishes most affected. We have other schools in other parishes that have indicated damage. But we are committed. And I just want to reassure our principals that as we delivered in Beryl, the damages pursuant to the passage of Beryl, we will deliver again. In the first cut, we got $2.5 billion from the Ministry of Finance through the government of Jamaica. And we were able to expend all of that as a Ministry of Education, and in the same breath, we will do so again. We have done the preliminaries already. I must say to Jamaica that our minister has presented a submission to the cabinet just yesterday, and she has written to me as I'm on this journey today to indicate that there will be a meeting at 2 o'clock on Monday to discuss the instructions of cabinet to determine how we will move forward. For those schools that we have visited already, we have given the instructions that they should go ahead and to spend what necessary they need to spend right now for the cleanup and the restoration. We will reimburse our schools, and we did that in burial and we did that in COVID. So we have the learning of this disaster management, and our schools have the confidence in us. We will get the funding that is required to rebuild our schools. We will do it together as a community.
Is there any plan afoot to seek outside help? Because I'm speaking about one school in particular. I spoke with the principal of STETS just last night, Keith Wellington. He's a president as well. And he says just a preliminary assessment from his school alone, they're looking at over $1 million to kind of repair some of the damage that has happened there already. And I'm sure that school is just one of many. Say you visited over 600 schools so far, or the assessment has been done?
Pre-assessment.
Pre-assessment of over 600 schools.
Yes.
Something like that, even if half the cost is what is for other schools, that's a hefty bill for the government.
Yes.
Already offering 0% for teachers looking for an increase this year in their wages already. How will you manage, Dr. True?
Well, education is important to this country. It is the bedrock of Jamaica, and so it will not be secondary in the scheme of things. Our Prime Minister has indicated through our Minister that we have the full support of the rebuilding process. We have to make sure that the standards are in place, which we already have. Prior to this, we went out and we had consultants to develop the standards, the building standards for the education system. So we're not going to build back ordinarily. We are building back better and stronger, guided by the standards. And of course, our experience with this that we have never seen before in this country. And so we have to learn from that. So we are building out with our partners. Our international development partners are on board. Just today, our team, though we are here, team members are meeting with the CARICOM team. They have reached out to say, what is it that we need? So there are team members meeting with them. There are other international development partners. IDP has reached out to us already. Minister had a meeting with the World Bank today, just this morning. UNICEF came in already. So we have a culture of our partners pulling together. What is important is for us to have the data available, what each school needs. We have the Adapa School. In the same way Sandals Foundation is doing this, other entities will come on and Adapa School.
That's all good and well. And again, the reopening of schools. I was speaking to the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Mark Malap, 2 days ago, and he is very adamant that amid all this drive to reopen schools as soon as possible, where practicable, they want to see the change drive the JTA to provide psychosocial support to principals and teachers as well, because a lot of them are also significantly affected and need a little bit of support.
Well,
what if anything is happening
what I would
to that
want to say, especially in address to the JTA, because since I've been appointed state minister, I have been very shocked to realize I was a teacher, so let me just put that on record. And until I became state minister, I had no clue that the JTA is facilitated monthly at meetings held by our permanent secretary, and they have a forum to share their views and their concerns. So many of what is being articulated in the public space by the JTA, I am not afraid to say that they are not very sincere in some of their utterances.
Is Mark Malava grandstanding, quite frankly?
I wouldn't say that, but I'm just saying that if you do not know, you wouldn't know that the JTA has a forum to share their issues and concerns, and we've always been very accommodating of their issues and concerns. Just recently, our education minister, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, and the opposition spokesperson on education released a joint statement. So at this time, we don't want dissenting voices. We want all the stakeholders to come together with the common goal. All of us want what is best for the children of Jamaica.
Damion Crawford, opposition spokesman on education. The state minister in education was saying that some of the comments coming from the JTA at this point is insincere, because they meet with them at least once a month, the education ministry and the JTA, to hear all of their concerns. You have taken the decision to issue a joint statement with Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, and she's saying essentially Rhoda Crawford knows in the time for dissenting voices. Is that a fair comment?
No, I think it's a ridiculous comment, first of all. I mean, the fact that we meet doesn't mean we agree. The only measure of that meeting can be if there's a hypocritical agreement behind the scenes and then outside disagreement. So just saying that they have met doesn't mean anything. Additionally, what we heard from the JTA was really not in contrary or contradiction to what we were discussing. All of the literature that I've read suggests that a constant emotional state and psychosocial intervention is necessary after any disaster for adequate teaching and learning. Now, the ministry later came to say they had 37 persons hired as psychologists and psychiatrists able and capable to intervene. And so then that should adequately address the concern that the JTA had, but it was a legitimate concern to say if we're going to reintroduce our teachers who also were affected, let us not forget that we don't have a situation of zoning for neither students nor teachers. So a teacher could have been in a impacted zone, but teaching in a non-impacted zone. And the teacher could have lost her house, whatever. So therefore, the JTA said, we want to have a focus and a consideration of the psychosocial and not just a re-emergence into teaching learning as if there's no impact on the teacher.
Yeah, so, but was that really necessary, though? Was the statement necessary, given the education minister doesn't seem to be saying anything contrary to what the JTA is saying, and the tone of it suggested, as the state minister said, a sort of a dissenting voice.
Well, that dissenting voice, the fact that we're in a negative state doesn't mean that dissent isn't necessary, because you may save us from incorrect decisions when you see something wrong. So therefore, we shouldn't all just do anything that we're instructed because we're in a bad time. So dissenting voices are always important. Now, he wasn't a dissenting voice, as I've said. They were just vocal in agreement, because the two sides were stating
vocal in agreement. I've never heard that expression before.
So what?
But it comes back to the point, though. Was he grandstanding? Was it necessary?
No, to be honest to the situation and the JTA, the whole conversation about the 37 psychiatrists hired came after their statement.
Okay.
It didn't come before their statement.
So you're saying it was basically necessary to say to get that clarity then?
So to be sure. Because even when we speak to reopening of schools, there's very little conversation about the importance of the teacher to that. It's mostly, we need the students to get back. And so therefore, because of that inseparability of teaching and learning, then you must ensure that both individuals are considered, and as far as the thing is concerned. So when you look at the categories of impact, let's say access to school, home impact, meaning in infrastructure and income and stuff like that, as well as the school itself. So the access to the school infrastructure, and the person. The teacher can be affected by major impact at home, major impact from access, major impact on the school compound itself. Or it might be major minor. The school itself don't mash up, but her home mash up and her access mash up. So therefore, we have to make sure that the stakeholders are considered in totality. And when we put out that joint statement between myself and the minister, it ensured that it stated that there are facilities and facilitation for that psychosocial, so that the effective lessons can be
We're almost out of time now. I have about less than 3 minutes to go. In terms of the response so far in education, in your sector, are you satisfied with what's happening, and what, if anything, do you want to see now?
Satisfied is a hard term, because I think time must be allowed, and it's not, there will be a day to review the government's actions, but I don't think today is the day. The People's National Party is drafting our own plan that we will submit to the government and we'll also make public. However, I think that the general approach have been grandstanding by the government, almost to say that we are great, and not necessarily to say that there is an issue here and we want to fix it.
Also, because they are saying, hey, I mean, listening to Dr. Kassan Troop there saying, listen, whatever the issues are, let's listen to Dr.
Kassan Troop. We'll do it the same way that we did it in COVID and that we did it. It wasn't properly done, if you can review that. I mean, we have $2.5 billion for 612 schools. $2.5 billion divided by 1,000 is 2.5 million. So that if you look at 500 schools, upon 5 million. St. Elizabeth said that out of that 5 million per school, St. Elizabeth is saying that they need 157 million, that's $1 million US. So therefore, when you just put these big numbers, you force the opposition to feel that they must provide clarity. And we would prefer that we don't feel that way. We would prefer that you put the opposition in a place that we can say, all right, we see what the problems are, we see the issues, we see the challenges, and we will work with you. But when you try to make things sound grand, we're going to be whatever, after 6 to 8 weeks, it is unlikely that there's a 40% reduction in the probability of return to school for adolescents. So we are really getting to the point that we are at risk of these children saying, well, I'm going to look a job for the boys, I'm going to get pregnant for the girls. So we are not seeing, in my opinion, sufficient strategies to change.
15 seconds from you, what needs to happen next now? Because you're saying you're approaching the point now where it's a little bit dangerous for the adolescents. Because if you reach 6 to 8 weeks, a problem.
Right.
What needs to happen now?
I think we need temporary tent cities for those who are most affected.
So repeat that again?
Temporary tent cities. Some will call them
cities.
refugee camps,
Okay.
but you know that's a term that people may frown upon. And these temporary tent cities should have on-spot schools, reducing to the concept extreme impact on data collection so that we can make necessary plans for all the groups that are going to be affected.
So much more to talk about with you, Damion Crawford, but we have to save some of it for another time. Thank you so much for your time. Opposition spokesman on education, Damion Crawford, also the Member of Parliament for Northwest St. Catherine. Stay with us. When we come back, we hear from public health expert Andrea Hardware about concerns following Melissa for health. Vector-borne diseases potentially on the rise. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
oh, then, yeah. I mean, what they say is that hi, Miss Hardware, you're hearing me? Miss Hardware? Do I get tough done?
Tough done.
We work hard to develop state-of-the-art security solutions like our new Total Connect smart home automation system that gives you 24/7 access to control your appliances, lights, cameras, and doors using your smartphone, tablet, or PC. As the most trusted electronic security company in Jamaica, Hawkeye has the fastest response times to get to you when you need us most. Trust Hawkeye's Total Connect. Hawkeye, securing what matters most.
Welcome back to Lead Story here on CVM TV. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Now, I've been speaking with different health experts, and they've been raising concerns about what's being put in place regarding the mitigation efforts to prevent any possible outbreak of vector-borne diseases, mosquito-borne diseases, for simplicity, like dengue, malaria, etc. Now, I spoke with the Member of Parliament for Eastern Westmoreland, Dr. Dayton Campbell, about some of these very issues on Friday. A health concern right now. I mean, health experts have said to me, and the Ministry of Health, I gather, knows this, that this area is known. Typhoid is endemic here, and there are other health concerns. From your end, do you share those concerns?
I do. So my concerns are actually twofold. And then community. The concerns are this. One, this is a high-stress environment. So if I'm hypertensive, meaning I have high blood pressure, and I'm out of medication, it means my pressure is going to go up. Put me in a high-stress environment, and it's going to go even further. And so that becomes a ticking time bomb, which then puts me at risk for heart attack, stroke, and all of these things. Same thing, if I'm diabetic and I'm on insulin, I don't have anywhere to keep my insulin in refrigerated because I don't have any electricity. So that becomes the next problem. So the non-communicable disease, the chronic things are also going to cause a problem.
And that's an issue in a constituency right now with persons here?
Naturally, because you have about 20% of the Jamaican population that's hypertensive. Some of them don't even know that they are. And roughly the same amount that are diabetic. So that becomes an issue in and of itself because there isn't a functioning, working health center at this point in time, and of course Savannah Hospital is overloaded. On the communicable side of things, you have things like typhoid and those things that you spoke about. We also have vector-borne illnesses, right? We have quite a few cases of dengue with the water being still and in some areas.
In your constituency already?
No. I'm not aware of a case of dengue currently in the country, but just before the hurricane, the Minister of Health had given an update on dengue, and that we had a few cases of dengue. Not enough to reach a threshold to call it an outbreak. But with the water and those things, it being still in different locations, it's going to become a breeding site.
Are you concerned, therefore, that from that end, that since Melissa, given the situation with water being stagnant in some areas right now, that we may possibly see that if not treated, if not given significant attention?
We are going to have some concerns if it is not dealt with. And you also have the disposal of human waste, right? So some of these persons, I'm not quite sure where they're disposing their waste at this point in time. Then you have dead animals, that if we don't deal with that situation, right, you try to bury them, but then I don't want none of the pet lovers to say anything. You might have to burn some of them just to try and get rid of the carcass out of the space so that it doesn't become a host for some vector, some disease-causing agent. So,
all right, that was the Member of Parliament for Eastern Westmoreland, Dr. Dayton Campbell, raising concerns about health following Hurricane Melissa. Let's go now in the very short time we have, less than 2 minutes, with the head of the School of Public Health at the University of Technology, Andrea Hardware. Ms. Hardware, what are the major concerns right now that you have following Hurricane Melissa where health is concerned?
All right, good night. Thank you. So, given the most recent disaster and our initial response would have been to protection of life, but post that, there are some concerns in terms of our food, water, and sanitation. And we should be very mindful and have this at the forefront of our minds in protecting the health of the public. We must appreciate that there are among us those persons who are vulnerable. For example, the very young children, those whose health may be compromised, and also the very old. The main concern I have now is that there are conditions that are likely to set off a chain reaction as it relates to communicable diseases. For example,
what conditions?
Dr. Campbell mentioned, yes, I heard Dr. Campbell mention typhoid, and I think I heard you mention that it's endemic in the area. Also, dengue, which is around the season for it now, and also leptospirosis. Those are just to name a few of them that we need to be very mindful of. Because
all right, Ms. Hardware, I'm having a little bit of challenge with your audio, but we are also a little bit out of time right now. But this conversation is so important. It's one I'd like to follow up with you on if you have the time and can join us another day, because it's something that we want to thoroughly explore. But we are entirely out of time, as I want to thank all my guests and Ms. Hardware, who we had a difficulty getting earlier to join us. So thank you so much, Ms. Hardware, and hopefully we can get you back another day sometime soon to delve deeper into these issues. But that's all the time we have for you here on Lead Story, tracking Melissa, the aftermath here on CVM TV. Stand by.